Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! This happened early May 2020. I worked for a big homeware company where you could buy everything from bedding to food in the UK. It was a busy Saturday, as you could imagine if you have ever worked in retail. About mid-afternoon, I get a call over the radio to come to the front of the store as a customer was kicking off, as they were being stopped from coming into the store as we were at a maximum customer number and the queue was blocking the path for customers to enter the store. As I get closer, I can hear this carrying kicking off. Once I get there, I ask the customer service desk, who is right next to the front door, what is going on. They explained to me what is going on. After I heard what was going on, I went to speak to the person who was kicking off. She was still having a go at the team member who was just doing her job. I had to shout at this customer to get there, even notice that I was there. She now starts shouting at me and demands that I let her into the store. I refuse, as I can see the queue is still blocking the way, and we have been told to not let people in if it's not safe to do so. She then starts calling my team member all sorts of rude names, which was making her start to cry, and she was only 18 years old. That was it for me. If you ask people who know me, there are very things that upset me, but making one of my team members cry is one of my breaking points. I really started shouting at this woman to back up from my store, as she is not coming into my store. This is where she started to try to play the race card as a reason I shouldn't let her in, as this didn't work. She then tried saying she was a GB and flashing a card at me, which again I refused to look at, and she still wasn't coming into my store. On hearing the shouting, the center security guards came over to see what was going on. Once I had explained to them what was going on, they asked the woman to leave the area, as she was now being refused access to the whole shopping center. As they were trying to get this woman to leave, a police van came driving past on their normal patrol of the area. They stopped to see what was going on after explaining to them what had gone on, and after the guards told the police that they wanted her gone from the area, and the police tried to get this woman to move, but once again, she refused. The police gave her a choice to leave or they would arrest her, and once again she tried to play the race card and the GB card, but they were having none of that. She still refused and got handcuffed and taken away by the officers. I later found out that she lost her job as a GP, as on the way to the police van she kicked one of the officers, so she was done for assaulting a police officer and a public order offense. She tried to complain to my company's head office after I told him what had really happened, and she tried to lie to them saying that she just waited in line, and I told them that there was a police report over the whole thing. They said I was right to refuse her entry to the store and issued her with a banning order for the whole company, so no more shopping for her, the Mac company. My team member and her family were so happy that it was me on shift that day, as they know I will not let anyone upset my team and get away with it. This happened about 6 years ago, right before my old car gave up the ghost. The turn signal knob had gotten caught on my coat about a week prior to this and had snapped completely off. Sadly, taken with it my ability to turn on my headlights. I was leaving my work that night and had been parked on a road. As I had needed to do for the previous week, I bought a pair of needle nose pliers. With me so that I could jam them in the steering column where the turn signal knob used to be and manually turn on the headlights. As luck would have it, I had a bit of trouble getting them on that night, but managed to turn them on, right as a police cruiser drove past me on a road. He must have seen half of me hanging out of the car, jamming something into the steering column. But because as he rounded the corner and went out of sight, I saw reflections of red and blue lights flashing in the trees. Not putting two and two together, I hopped all the way in and got buckled up and shut the door. Next thing I know, I saw that same car go whooshing past me at top speed in the opposite direction. Still not figuring it out, I just pulled out and started heading home. In my rear view, I saw the cop slam on his brakes and pull a U-turn right as I started to pull into the gas station a few doors down from my job. As I get out of the car, the cop comes flying up into the parking lot and locks it up right behind me. Then he rolls down the window, squints at me and says, "Oh, I guess you work here, huh?" and then he packs out and leaves. It wasn't until I went into the gas station that I realized he thought I was stealing that car. But when he saw me in my khaki slacks and ripped polo shirt, dressed exactly like the cashier was, he figured nobody would steal a car to drive to work. I almost got arrested, but I was saved because I didn't work there. I just looked like I did. This could be an entitled person's story, but since I complied with a client's logic, I felt it belonged here. I used to work as a personal auto insurance liability adjuster, and my job was to investigate accidents and coverages, determine who is at fault and what coverage they have. An issue we commonly run into is undisclosed drivers. And many parents do not add their kids to their policy to avoid a rate increase, only to be stunned when we deny their collision since they essentially lied about the drivers in their household, and depending on the underwriter, they can be dropped. I had a claim where a woman's son who was not listed on a policy, I was over 18, hit another car. In the state she lived in, she was required to have him New Jersey since that was his permanent resident. She had him but removed him. She was one of those Karen types who felt she knew more than me. I asked her why. He's away at college. All year? No, most of it, and his college is out of state. Does he live in the dorms or off campus? Dorms. Where does his driver's license say he lives? My address. He still needs to be on your policy. She says condescendingly, no he doesn't, he lives in the dorms for most of the year, so he's not at this address for most of the year. Yes, but when he comes home for his breaks like summer or winter break, doesn't he use his car at your home? No, he has it with him on campus. Oh, so your son lives in the dorms, but this car that he was driving he keeps with him on campus? Yes, he needs it for his job and to get around. And is this car registered to him at the address of his campus? No, the car is registered and insured by me in this state. Oh, so even though he's not on the policy, he's still a primary driver, and he's keeping this car for most of the year at his college out of state. Yes, thank you, that's all I need. As soon as I hung up, I did an underwriting referral for the car being garaged out of state since, based on her logic, son was not a resident of her household, so that meant the car was not being kept at her primary address. She was sent a letter by underwriting explaining that her policy was not going to be renewed, and since we reported the accident to the insurance database, all new carriers would know her son needed to be on her policy. She called her agent and we did a conference call. I was livid. I explained that I had taken her side. She said he was not a resident of her address since most of the year her son was on campus, but that because of that, the car was not being garaged at her address since the car was also out of state for most of the year. She hung up in a huff after the agent tried to diplomatically explain the situation. As soon as she left the call, he thanked me and told me that she was his least favorite customer and he was now thrilled he wouldn't have to deal with her anymore. I, 26 male, met my girlfriend 24 female Kate when we were in college and have been dating for 3 years. I also would like to mention that Kate now works at a zoo, important for later. My family was very nice and welcoming to Kate, everyone except Pam and May. My brother Ian and sister-in-law May, both 30, are high school sweethearts and married after college. May has a little sister Pam, 25 female, and has always wanted us to date. She would joke about sisters marrying brothers and how she wished I would just ask Pam out. It was annoying but nothing extreme. I do want to make it clear that I told Pam I wasn't interested in her like that. Fine, right? Nope. When I first started dating Kate, Pam and May weren't happy and were oftentimes rude to her. Kate always took the high road and treated them with respect. Today my family, parents, sister and brother-in-law Ian and May, and of course Pam, went to the zoo where my girlfriend works as they were holding a special event for their animal ambassadors. Before the team brought out the animals, they went over the guidelines: no touching the animals or trying to touch them, remain seated and quiet, normal things when live animals are coming out. Everything was running smoothly, Kate was glowing, and I couldn't believe how happy I was to have found such an amazing woman. Well, time for the final animal, and it's a ball python. One of my Kate's favorite ambassador animals. As she was talking, she began walking around the room with the snake to give everyone a better view. As Kate walked past Pam, she decided to grab at the snake and yank. Of course, the snake didn't like that and ended up biting Kate and latching on, while also beginning to squeeze her arm. Kate's boss was there and saw the entire thing go down. He immediately took Kate into another room to deal with the snake. I snapped. I stood up and started yelling at Pam. I told her she was a pathetic woman who couldn't handle the fact that I never wanted her. Pam was crying and begging me to stop being mean, as we were soulmates. What the hell? Security ended up coming into the room and told Pam she needed to leave the zoo immediately. Now you're probably wondering about my family, right? You would think they would be angry at Pam, but nope, they are pissed at me. My sister and brother-in-law are the only ones on my side, as my sister can't stand May and Pam. She finds them incredibly annoying and fake. My brother and parents are saying that I was in the wrong for embarrassing Pam and that I needed to apologize. They said I could have pulled her aside and talked to her privately instead of yelling at her in front of a crowd, about 30 to 40 people. All of them say Kate shouldn't have left the room as she made it a bigger deal than it really was. What the hell? Again, Kate literally has puncture marks from the snake and a huge bruise on her arm from where the snake was squeezing. So I don't know, Reddit, am I the jerk? Should I have pulled Pam aside instead of snapping in front of a crowd? Edit? I'm sorry if I forgot to add this. When Pam grabbed the snake, she immediately began laughing while stroking my arm. Only when I began yelling did she stop the laughing. And now with some comments on the post. Someone saying, definitely not the jerk. You reacted in the shock of the moment. Pam did a dangerous and reckless thing, endangering both Kate and the snake. She caused the snake to bite Kate instead of quietly sitting and enjoying the privilege of observing an interesting animal safely in the care of an experienced handler. Kate sounds like a lovely person. I hope she recovers soon and you both enjoy a life of happiness, OP. Another commenter adds, not the jerk, I hope that's a lifetime ban for Pam. Should be for your brother and parents as well, for endorsing that kind of behavior. I also think your parents should read this post and see how poorly your sister-in-law and her sister behaved in the eyes of anyone unbiased. A third commenter goes with, not that jerk. I'd go scorched earth at this point, take pictures of the bite, post a story on the internet, sue Pam for all she's worth, and no contact for those on her side. Wanting to cause harm to another human being because you're soulmates with their partner who doesn't want you is pathetic and disgusting. And so are the people who could defend such an action. Pam is escalating, and I would hate to see why else she could do that. That was worse than a snake bite. At the very least, refuse to go to the event that she will be at for your own mental health and peace of mind. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.